What it do, man? Onside Kicking It Season 2. It's your boy. I am Ghost_AF as always.
What's up? It's AJ at Sick is Full. How y'all doing?
We're going to start off as always with the recap.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the Thursday night game. What was it? Chargers and Chiefs, man. AJ got the dub on this one. So you know what? I'll let you talk about it since you got the dub, bro.
Yeah, backdoor cover. I think I called it. Wasn't really competitive going into the fourth. You got a little interesting thing. Justin Herbert can't run for the first down, 3rd and 1st, because his ribs are hurting, and he's like, But then next play just lasers it down for the first down, and then on 4th and goal gets the touchdown to cover, but lose the game. I would actually monitor Justin Herbert's health. But I'll let you continue and go ahead before I give a little more feedback.
I'll be honest, man. There was, could have been a completely lopsided game in the Chargers' favor early on. A couple turnovers were obviously overturned, one due to a penalty, and then one questionable. Was it a pick? Was it not? You side with Charger fans, they'll tell you that was 100% a pick. You talk to Chiefs fans, and that ball, looked like it was moving a little.
Touched the ground.
Definitely felt like it touched the ground. I definitely also felt like once the Chiefs took that lead by, I think it was 10 at the time, you can't count your chickens before they hatch. But I felt like that was a W all day. And, that prevent defense towards the end, like you said, that late cover, man, it just kind of came back to bite me in the ass. I was a little concerned with the Chiefs though on offense. So, look, we can face facts. Juju's no number one. No. As a Steeler fan, he was one of the best number 2s in the game. He's equivalent to the Lamar Odom 6-man award in the Lakers season, as a number 2. What I mean by that is, with AB in the roster, sickest guy ever. Once he was reliable and he had to, leaned on and he had to be the number 1, he just never really proved to be that number 1. So the fact that they lost Reek, which we'll get to Reek later, and the fact that they got Juju in place of that, they got MVS, they got a couple other weapons. I think the Chiefs are a little bit in trouble. I know this sounds crazy, but I can see them having a bad flow here and there and just inconsistent play because Juju, if he was tight end, he'd be one of the sickest tight ends in the game. I think he should even move to tight end, bro. Because he's no wide receiver 1, man. I don't see it. So I think Chiefs are in trouble. As far as the Chargers go with the injury, we'll see how obviously Herbert is. I think that's a fucked up injury because that's one of those injuries every time he gets tackled, he could be in he can be in trouble, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
just to touch on, I think the Chargers made it an emphasis to step up this game without Keenan Allen. All the receivers showed out, starting with Mike Williams. Yeah, he did his thing. He sometimes throws up like goose eggs, but I don't want to dock the Chiefs too much for this performance. I think the Chargers are one of the best teams in the league, and they are missing Keenan Allen, but like I said, they wanted to step up and prove a point. So I thought this game was going to be close regardless. On the Chiefs side, no receiver really getting too much work. McKinnon does, I don't want to say vulture the touchdown from Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I did mention just keep an eye out on that backfield of who's getting the touches, so it's not a 3-down roll for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So let's just monitor that backfield. And
wide receiver wise, you're not starting anybody comfortably next week from the Chiefs.
No, just Kelsey, that's
course.
it. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, guys start him again, but that's about it. And I actually benched Juju this week for Terry McLaurin, which worked out, but we'll talk about him in a little bit.
Next up, we had the Jets and the Browns. That shit shocked me, bro.
That was a good game.
I'm looking at Chubb. He puts the score in late. A lot of players, they take that little slide. He might have cared about his fantasy a little bit. That was, again, though, going up 2 scores, 2 touchdowns at that. I don't really necessarily knock him for it, but it was like, looking back, obviously, you're like, damn. What happened on D? Onside kick, the whole 9 yards. That was our first onside kick.
Yeah, onside kicking. There was like 3 in that span, and they were the only ones to recover. Yep. The only thing I'm going to say about that was it was a weird about 1 or 2 yard zone for him to slide down. So It wasn't as easy for him to break it and then get down. Exactly. So I don't want to. But obviously the move would have been to get down. That would have won the game. So it wasn't as easy as it looked. I'm sure he's aware of it. He's been through it before in the past. I think the bright spot of this game is only one person we really need to talk about, and it's the rookie from the Jets, Garrett Wilson, showing out. 2 tugs. Yeah, this guy, he's the number 10 pick overall, and I think he's the only receiver worth I don't want to say starting yet, but definitely a stash. He's going to be top of the waiver wire, and if you're looking for some wide receiver depth, I think he's good. Joe Flacco's throwing the ball 85 times a game, so they're going to need someone to catch it.
I mean, Joe Flacco, return of the Flacco.
Yeah.
My guy threw 4 touchdowns.
He's doing it, man. He's Joe Cool. And on the receivers who got in, Breece Hall got in,
Yep.
but they're still saying Carter's the guy. As far as Browns go, you talked about Chubb. He had a great game. That's the only problem with Chubb and Hyde is the fact that, or not Hyde, Chubb and Hunt. You don't know who's going to get the touches. It's a pretty much even split as far as snaps. Snaps. I mean, obviously Chubb gets more rushes, Hunt gets more targets, but they're getting very similar touches. I would say Chubb gets more because he's rushing a little bit more, but it's just really hard to predict who's going to get those touchdowns, and they're usually split pretty evenly between the two.
So what do you think about Cooper, man? I played Cooper. I thought this would be a good bounce-back game for him. I figured he'd get his tug early, and then the Browns would kind of get the opportunity to run the whole game. But, target share is target share. That's why I started him. I said, he had 7 targets last week, only 3 receptions, and I was, a little bit bummed by his production, but it was kind of expected with Brissett. But I also figured, Brissett, he's a vet, man. He's a vet. And I think Cooper, he's not a must start, obviously, but he's definitely needs to be on that high alert because I think just production-wise, I think they're so well balanced on the run game that whenever they do pass it, you got Njoku, you got Amari Cooper, not much.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question last week was Cooper or DJ Moore, and they ended up both getting touchdowns and producing. I think Brissett is capable, but he's just not really high-powered. I think with Deshaun Watson under center, they're going to turn into a more high-powered offense as opposed to right now where Brissett is doing his job, but I just wouldn't look for that week-to-week constant production from Amari.
Specific games, though, you got him in a flex?
Yeah, if it's a good matchup base and I'm thin on wide receivers, of course we're going to have to start him, but I wouldn't look at him as someone that I would target as a trade right now.
See, I think that's a lot of things. People are going to be high on him, and I think they're going to must start him, and I don't necessarily think it's a must start unless it's legitimately matchup. And I think against the Jets was matchup proof in a sense, where you should be, he's kind of touchdown dependent in my eyes.
Yeah, definitely touchdown dependent. Yeah, he's not going to get you 10 catches, 100 yards every game, so you need him to fall into the end zone.
I agree.
So,
Commanders-Lions?
So that game started out pretty slow. We started with, I think, this goose egg from the Commanders in the first half. But they're the modern day, I would say maybe Blake Bortles or Matthew Stafford with the Lions, where they're just going to go down by a lot and just huck the ball down the field. So you're getting some production from all of those receivers. You're talking about Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Carson Wentz. We'll talk about him as far as waiver wire potential as a streamer. Same thing with Jahan Dotson. And then on the Lions side, I mean, Amon St. Brown's a beast. I mean, he broke some records, I guess, or he tied some records with Michael Thomas and AB, so to be in that class.
And this is all from second half of last season on to now. You know what I mean? He's definitely not only, him and his brother, really, they're solid, bro.
Yeah.
They're solid.
And before we go too much, I'll let you talk about the Lions. On the Commanders, just before we get into waiver wires too, I will also look out for Brian Robinson. He's the guy who got shot in the leg.
Yep.
He's starting to get healthy and look back, so kind of a stash that you could put in, and we'll talk about him a little bit more on the waiver wires.
Like that.
Anything else on the Lions that you want to touch up on?
I mean, Goff, man. I know Goff, he's kind of been like the journeyman, so to speak, and he's always that Mr. Inconsistent to me where you just never know what you're going to get. I think as a Lion, though, he doesn't have a chance to be like a game manager, and I feel like the potential of him, making everyone around him legitimately better. I mean, DeAndre Swift. You got obviously St. Brown. Hawkinson's been the biggest disappointment for me personally. I got him in another one of my leagues, and as top 3 tight ends, maybe top 4, arguably, he's just not performing and he's dropping balls. That's what's killing me. He's getting the targets that you would want from a tight end spot, 7 to 8, but he's just not hauling them in.
Yeah, I think there's good things to come from him, so I wouldn't give up on him quite yet. He still has, I think, a lot more upside than a lot of tight ends.
I agree.
And some we'll talk about in a little bit. But, yeah, I think we should – next game, I think it was a good game, Bucks and Saints.
If you like drama.
Yeah, it was a fun little fight.
Evans and Lattimore, man, as y'all know, just keep getting into it. And I was actually excited for that one reason. I just had a feeling it was going to happen again. And to see it just come full circle is like, They hate each other.
I mean, but look at Evan's perspective. He's like, dude, he's messing with Brady. I have to go out there, so he's got to get suspended.
He's he's looking for that, though.
Yeah, but still, it is his quarterback. I mean, he did it for Jameis. Then, of course, you're going to do it for Tom, too.
Oh, yeah, so. I don't knock Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is one of the real ones, to be honest with you. I really do. Lattimore's a beast, too. I love the drama. I think it's just so impressive from the Bucs side of things. You got no Godwin. You got no Julio Jones. And then you sit there and Mike Evans gets pulled. And it's 3-3. And you just look at Tom Brady and company, somehow, some way, put together enough to get a W. Yet again. I don't know, man. I don't know. As a Tom Brady, past person who didn't really like to watch Tom Brady as a Steeler fan, he's always been our big brother. I mean, you got to salute the GOAT, bro. I mean, he didn't do anything crazy to this game, but he was a game manager for the first time ever and pulled it off.
I think you got to shout out to the Bucs D.
Defense,
I mean, they scored, 30 points, 31 points. So they were supposed to be a top performing defense for fantasy. They just had a tough matchup to start the season, but they still have they've been looking good with that. On the Saints end, Michael Thomas,
which is scary.
They're gonna play good. So if you got the Bucs, you're looking good for the middle half of the season. You got a good unit, and for the Saints, Michael Thomas, Jameis Winston, was it the rookie Chris Olave or what's his name?
Olave.
Yeah, he got some run. Olave, he did okay. Kamara was out, right?
Kamara was out. That fucked me up. I had Mark Ingram, and I was just a little hesitant to play him. Glad I didn't. I was a little bit bummed on Hill. I picked up Hill.
Okay.
I know that was your number one waiver wire stash. You just never know where you can go. I actually played him over Hawkinson.
Oh my god.
You know why? I said Kamara's out. I said Ingram's a little bit banged up. And I figured it was a risk versus reward play. I figured he'd throw a couple. I figured he'd get a couple carries. I figured he might go out for some passes. I'm not giving up on him yet. I still got him stashed. But definitely not a must start. I
gotta touch up on that because he was my top free agents of last week, waiver wire. So a couple things I want to mention. Number one, this is if you don't have a top 5 tight end who's going to produce all the time. So that's for the people who are looking for a stream. You don't have a Hawkinson. You don't have somebody. Number two, I had Cole Kmet week 1, and I ended up not streaming him for number 2. So even if I did go out there and Taysom Hill threw up his 4 rushes for 13 yards, it's still more production than what I was getting from my tight end. So the upside in the future is really what it kind of made the most sense for me.
Absolutely.
And speaking on this, I know my brother, he listened to the podcast and he went out.
He picked him up.
He spent a lot of fat bucks on him just so I can't get him. And I keep trying to make a trade and he won't trade me. But yeah, and also I forgot to touch base. Gerald Everett is who I streamed as my tight end. He got 10 targets, 70 yards with Keenan Allen out of the mix.
Great
if he's still available in your league, I would look to pick him up on tight end. I'm going to probably be starting him as a must start as long as Keenan Allen is hurt. So I just wanted to say my 2 cents on tight ends and stuff like that. But let's move forward. Panthers, Giants,
man. The Giants kind of surprised me, I'll be honest with you. I know Baker Mayfield had a really fucked up feeling in his stomach from last week's loss, trying to beat his former team. I really thought maybe with the Panthers D they can kind of keep Saquon in check, which they did. But I really thought they'd hold it down and get the W. Giants, man, they're not so bad right now, man. They got momentum. They got athletes, the Sterling Shepherds.
I mean, just look at their division, so they're always going to be competitive. That's like the bright side of the Giants. So 2-0, they're already ahead.
Panthers, though, I mean, you look at the Panthers and you're just like, what the fuck?
I don't want to watch them. I don't like watching them. I have CMC on my team. I gotta watch it, but it's just so boring. I don't like Baker. Like I said, I just don't want to watch. They're so tilting, and I'm glad that I picked the Giants. I thought they were gonna cover just to rub it in my face, but they didn't.
Yeah, I thought this was a bounce back game, man. I really did. I thought the Panthers would be a little hot. CMC, I thought would go nuts, and it was actually kind of like you got Saquon versus CMC. I was kind of excited for that, to be honest. As much as I don't really like watching the Panthers, I was excited for that particular matchup. And I just felt like it was lackluster. I just felt like I was missing something.
Yeah, the one thing, at least CMC still did maintain his production. You know, he got 100 scrimmage yards and 100 scrimmage yards and some touches, and the wide receiver corps was a little lackluster. We talked about it last week with, DJ Moore. He got in, and Robbie Anderson looking to be the deep threat. He's kind of someone I like to keep my eyes on, but I don't trust any of those receivers.
Nah, he put the ball on the ground, too.
Yeah, and moving forward to the Giants receivers, I think this is where it gets a little tricky. I streamed Kadarius Toney in week 1, and he didn't do anything. I think the main Giant receiver to be targeting is Sterling Shepard. He's the guy right there, yeah. So I think that's pretty much.
They got the most chemistry. I mean, he's played the longest with them. You look at the bunch.
He's tough to trust, but when he produces, he produces. So that's the bright side.
You got to be in big trouble, 12-man league to be using him as one of your options. Maybe flex him depending on matchup. But I can see that. I can definitely see that.
So let's move on to unfortunate your Steelers versus the Patriots.
Man, I talked about this last week, man, and it was like, we got a W against the division rivalry on the road last week. And we made a lot of mistakes, like 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out. And I talk about this all the time, man. We're going to be constantly in these third and short situations, and we got to convert. And in the first half, we were converting, but it wasn't really doing much, but at least keeping our defense off the field for some time. From a overall fan perspective, Trubisky he ain't gonna do it for me, man. You're 3rd and 8, you're throwing it 4 or 5 yards. You can't trust any receiver from a fantasy standpoint on the Steelers because is Claypool gonna be the guy? Is DJ gonna be the guy? Is Pickens gonna be the guy? You can obviously play Freiermuth comfortably if you ain't got a better option. Najee Harris from the run game, it's like I don't know if he's just not doing too hot or what. But there was a play where he bounced it outside when the line actually had such a good push up front that I was just like, is this premeditated? Are you doing the L Bell where you're hesitating? Because, the homie came in Warren, and he looked explosive.
Yeah.
He looked explosive. So definitely someone that might not be a bad handcuff if you have Najee Harris, if you have him. Might not be a bad handcuff to get the Warren kid. Because if Najee doesn't start becoming more explosive or even doesn't hold up, that's definitely the guy. I thought it'd be Benny Snell, but it's not. Warren is serious.
Yeah, I was surprised that Najee even suited up.
I was a little bit too.
Kind of beast.
But from the Patriots standpoint, Mac Jones was celebrating like he just won the Super Bowl, bro. And that's not common when you see a Belichick QB. I have no faith in him. I have no faith in playing any running back on the Patriots. I have no faith in anything. We lost Watt, and we couldn't get to Mac Jones. He had all day, and he still was only able to produce, 17 points? And that was luckily their former gizmo and gadget punt returner muffed a punt when the game was fucking tied. So, as a fantasy outlook, I'm not playing any Steelers except for Najee Harris because I got to. Possibly DJ if in the flex. From an overall fan perspective, we lose on Thursday night to the Browns. If that happens, Pickett better come to fucking.
Yeah.
I'm being real. Unless Mitch does a late game-winning drive, he's out.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'm going to say, I was feeling the same way about the wide receiver core, but I think eye test after just watching DJ make diving catch after diving catch after one-handed catch after one-handed catch, he's almost someone you're going to have to start just because even without a quarterback, I think he could produce. And then I do want to mention on the Patriots side, Damien Harris did a phenomenal job.
He did.
But on the last play of the game, he got rolled up on, and he limped off the field. So
and Stevenson's taking a lot of his...
And Ramondre Stevenson is someone I'm high as. He's the third down, more of the receiving back. So I would very, very closely monitor Damien Harris's health. If he's not able to suit up, I think Ramondre Stevenson slots in as a must-start this week, looking to get a lot of volume.
Receiving core, there was one that looked pretty decent. Obviously, Devonta Parker is just a lost cause out there. But
Jacoby Myers?
Jacoby Myers actually looked hungry, looked like a savage out there. But there's another dude. No, yeah, I'm tripping.
It's Myers.
Jacoby is definitely a person that I wouldn't mind stashing because I saw every play of that game, bro. He played fierce. He grabbed the ball at the highest point, came back to it, helped his QB out a few times. Definitely not someone look against. But, with Belichick and the way he runs his offense, you just never know, bro.
Yeah, I think Myers is going to be a waiver wire potential, but at the same time, it's really hard to trust any of those receivers. So yeah, he will give you some good production, but at the same time, there's going to be some very low production as well, where they spread the ball around. So
a couple things real quick, man. We sometimes forget about the chat, man. Forgive us, but the homie Sean's on here, man. Appreciate you coming in, tuning in.
Dream.
Much love to you. He's a Dolphin fan. We will be talking about that soon, 100%. Dream's talking some ish, but on a good note. She like, I want to see them puppy dog eyes. It look like. Take them shades off, my guy. She wants them off, man.
No, I need them on for the show because I already started, but just for you to take them off for a second. And they're not really like shades. They're like,
that's your seeing glasses.
Yeah, no, these are not. These are just swag glasses. Just like add some swag. Not like if I wore sunglasses, it'd be a little douchey, but this is like.
Fuck it, I'll go grab mine tonight and we'll rock them together, man. So you ain't by yourself.
Yeah. So.
But no, thanks for coming, man. Any questions, please don't forget, throw them in the chat. If you haven't already subbed, make sure you sub. If you haven't liked it already, make sure you like it. If you're tuning in later, do the same. And again, feed us with some questions or things you want us to implement moving forward. We are open for suggestions. Anything else about the Pats and Steelers? Because I fucking don't even want to talk about that game anymore.
No, I'm ready to move on. Colts, Jaguars.
Colts, Jags. Colts fucking suck.
Yeah, they put up a 0. That's
Jonathan Taylor, one of the most dynamic running backs in the game. You move out and get Matty Ice. I mean, defensively, they're supposed to be a solid D, and yet they not only get knocked the fuck out, but the Jags did it to them, 24-0.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the trippiest games of the week, bro.
I mean, they were missing Michael Pittman, but I don't want to say that was the reason of everything.
0.
Yeah, that's like.
Where's next man up at this point? You know what I mean? Like, I mean.
Jonathan Taylor he did break off some nice runs though, so he got.
You can't put all the pressure on him. He went and got Matt fucking Ryan, bro. You're supposed to now have a passing game, and at least to complement and keep the defense on their heels. But jeez, bro. That's flat out awful, man. Jaguars, man, good. Shout out to them. Great coaching plan, obviously. They went in there with nothing to lose, as always. Division game. And, shit, I guess you can't count the Jags out yet. I guess you got to fucking look at him. James Robinson is one guy I got to say. I picked him up in one of my other leagues, obviously, at late draft pick. Very happy with him.
Yeah, I have him too.
He's becoming a must start.
I'm not sure if I'm really confident yet in starting him. Unless it's matchup based. If they're going to be scoring points, then yeah, I want to get him.
How do you not at least put this dude in the flex? You tell me who your team is, man. How do you not
at least ask you, would you rather start James Robinson or Kareem Hunt?
Right now?
Right now.
James Robinson.
Robinson.
Based upon matchup.
Okay.
Based upon matchup. If I think the Browns can go down, like against the Steelers, I don't think I'm starting Hunt.
Okay.
With the what's next week's game?
For who? For the Jags?
For the Jags.
The Jags next week, we're going to go against... Let's see.
I think it's division. I think it's... Chargers.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's... Chargers of... yeah, okay, I see what you're saying now. Hunt versus Steelers or... Robinson versus Chargers. Okay, so matchup proof. You got to find matchup. You got to find a matchup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's gonna be tough, especially if there's a couple guys who are gonna get touches, but they're not gonna be that thing. But if there is any injury to ETN, look for him to be a solid.
I mean, even with ETN in right now, man, he's taking 20 carries a game, and producing.
And also for the Jaguars receivers, Christian Kirk looking good, man.
Wow.
2 touchdowns. I went against him. And on the tight end, actually, Evan Ingram is looking and producing really well.
Can we talk about Christian Kirk, though, for a second?
Let's talk about him.
Christian Kirk, when he was a Cardinal, was like one of those dudes that we thought, like maybe a couple years back, like, oh, this is the guy. It's like that Juju went to AB. And he just fell flat so many fucking games that you can't even trust starting his ass. Now he's all of a sudden a Jag. And he's fucking eating. I don't think this continues.
You don't think it continues?
I don't think this continues. I feel like we've seen this story before where he's in the beginning of the season, he's like waiver wire must add, if you don't have him, that's the guy. And then he just fizzles out and has those Mike Williams games where he puts up a dud.
That's always happened.
Are you buying into it?
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I've always been following him. I've always been watching him on the waivers and like streaming him when I had to. And exactly like you said, he's going to have either 10 catches or no catches.
None.
But I think that kind of goes more into the Cardinals system of how they utilize their receivers.
Okay.
You think about Marquise Brown, you think of Rondell Moore, you think of these guys who are kind of a little bit faster, a little bit more quicker, spread the field. They kind of don't get consistent volume. So maybe in Jacksonville's where he's going to be able to shine as a true WR1. And where he was taken on the draft boards and the amount he's producing right now, he looks like he could be the steal of the draft as of right now. If he continues to produce at this rate.
That's like if I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it yet.
Yes, yeah. I'm not there yet either, but...
I mean, I think I like the fact that the Jags will be down a lot, although 24-0 against the Colts, who knows at this point. But I think that they're going to be in positions where they obviously have to pass, and obviously this guy's favorite weapon is Kirk. He's coming down with it. It's making too much sense. Yeah, man. All right, man.
Okay.
What else?
We got the last 10 a.m. game with the Dolphins and the Ravens. I know you high on the Dolphins, so I'll let you talk about them a little bit.
Obviously, the game of the week, game of the year so far. It's going to be hard to surpass that being the game. I mean, from a fantasy standpoint, I feel like both sides, it didn't matter who you had. You had Reek, you had Waddle, you had Lamar. It was just such even Andrew scored late.
Balled out.
I mean, you look at the game and it was just like, look, Ravens defense is clearly not what it used to be. But the Dolphins offense, number one, they showed me they won't give up. Number two, they showed me they can put up 42 fucking points. And number three, it's the Chiefs all over again. You got Tyreek who can stretch the field, get behind the defenders, and you blame the defense, but it's like, yo, bro, when he busts like 6 posts in a row, and then his post turns into a post corner, bro, you're turning your hips. You gotta fucking keep up. And even Tua underthrew him a couple times, and he still came down with it. And so I look at the Dolphins as the run game is a little bit suspect for me. I don't know Mostert, I don't know Edmonds. First week one, it was like clearly it's going to be Edmonds. Now, like, okay, maybe it's going to be Mostert. Obviously, Mostert's fast as shit, so maybe that's going to, be implemented on why they play him more. Waddle and Hill. Gesicki's really the only one that's kind of underperforming in a sense in a fantasy, standpoint. But that team is so explosive and so dynamic that I feel like watch out for the fucking Dolphins. Well, I can't remember saying that. Watch out for the fucking Dolphins.
Yeah.
Ravens, on the other hand, man, that's going to sting. That's going to sting. That's going to make them punish teams as they continue to go and drive the score up. So I feel like you own Lamar. You own, obviously, Mark Andrews.
The receivers, too. Rashad Bateman.
Bateman's been balling.
Duvernay. Devin Duvernay. They both ate. So... one thing I do want to mention about the Dolphins is Mostert and his involvement in week 2. He did get a lot of touches, and the one knock on Chase Edmond is that he's a great receiver, and if he's not getting those rushing touches, he's not going to produce at that high volume. So I think that's a backfield you want to keep your eye out moving forward to see who's going to be getting the touches, who's getting
Mostert and
Edmonds, yeah, who's going to get the third down work, who's going to get the goal line work. If one of those running backs could go ahead and carve themselves out as a WR1 or RB1 role, I think that's going to be big. But
I think it's going to be hot hand. Man.
I think it's going to be a lot of hot hand and just moving down with who's doing well and the committee type. So, okay, 1:00 games. We got is that Pierre right there? Shout out
to Chevy P.
Chevy P with the Rams. That's who we're talking about next. Is our Rams versus the Falcons at home. Sheesh.
They tried to give it up.
Cooper Kupp, a little fumble.
They tried to give it up, but I think this was a good bounce back game for him. I was surprised. Obviously, that was such a large spread, so I took the Falcons in that game. But just from the point spread, I knew the Rams would win. Just wasn't convinced on what type of fashion they would win in. I think you look at the 2 Super Bowl teams, you look at the Bengals, and you look at the Rams, and I felt like the Bengals would kind of do the next step forward to kind of get past that, which we'll get into, but the Rams at least took that next step to be like, all right, we don't have a Super Bowl hangover. We're going to do our thing. And for me, it's like they're right back in it. Fantasy-wise, fuck, man, it's hard to really trust anybody. Allen Robinson finally came down with it, but fuck, man.
Still don't trust him.
You can't trust Allen Robinson. And it's like, if you got Kupp, you're loving life. You can't trust Higbee. You don't know if it's Henderson. You know, Cam stepped up and got a little bit more action, which only makes Henderson fucking drafters now pissed off.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to the Dolphins scenario. Are they going to go with the hot hand? And if you don't have Cooper Kupp, you ain't playing no one else.
I think Cooper Kupp's the only must start for the Rams. I think on the Falcons, they're a fun team to watch this year. So far, their first 2 games have been pretty competitive. Marcus Mariota has scored some points, moved the ball.
Cordell Patterson is start worthy.
He's start worthy, especially with the injury to Damian Williams. I think you're a little worried about Kyle Pitts, tight end. Not that much production for who's supposed to break out to a top 3 tight end, but I don't think you want to give up on him yet. I think you still put him in your lineup. But Drake London balled out.
Look, it is kind of bothersome because I remember your brother was actually high on Pitts last year. He had, I think, maybe 2 good games. Other than that, they were mediocre. And I get it, he's very talented as far as athleticism goes. But somehow, with Matt Ryan and now even with Mariota, it's almost like he's not treated as a tight end. He's treated as a fucking receiver in a sense.
And they don't give him the ball.
And they just don't give him enough targets to produce. Kind of reminds me of Njoku, a couple years back with Cleveland when he had these crazy catches and he just never got those targets. So I'm definitely concerned with Pitts. I'm not dropping him or anything, but I definitely would be concerned if you had Pitts. Because until he does something, you can't fucking comfortably...
But at least they're scoring points. That's the good thing, though. And against tough teams, tough defenses, so there is some upside. Next game, a little divisional matchup between the Seahawks and the Niners. Anything you want to touch up on? From the Seahawks, I mean, we got Geno Smith.
I think the biggest thing was obviously, Trey Lance is obviously done for a year. That shit.
Do you think Jimmy G is a potential streamer or a backing quarterback, or do you think we got some options on the waiver before you have to go down?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily stash him yet. I think it is impressive. Keep in mind they got no Kittle so far to start the year. You can't really knock them for the monsoon when they lost to Fields and company and the Bears. I think, look, Debo is Debo. I think once they get Kittle, that's going to make it that much more, Obviously, Jeff Wilson, he's like one of those guys you can totally trust. You can trust him, play him, when Elijah goes down, and that wasn't the case. Not that he did awful, it's just,
I want to mention while we're there, shout out my fantasy league, who's going to take all my fantasy advice, but deep stasher on the waiver wire, Tyrion Davis-Prince, the second running back from San Francisco. He got in there and he looked good, so it's kind of one of those things where he might be able to take the hot hand approach and carve himself out, and the 49ers have shown in the past that they'll let the backup get in there, and if he's doing good, he's got the hot hand, they'll continue to ride him until someone else could prove that they're doing better than him. So that's a deep league stasher. I would keep him on your radar if you got a roster spot. Look to pick him up as well.
Seahawks.
I mean, you got DK Metcalf is probably the only person that I think physically is good, but I don't even trust him.
You got Tyler Lockett that actually did more work than him, and it's always been like that.
But it's going to just be a low input offense every game, week in and week out. So I don't really trust any receiver, no running back. There's not anyone I don't think is going to be start worthy for the Seahawks.
No, I mean, listen, man. They tried to write him off, and he didn't write back. And this week, he didn't even fight back. I mean, my guy literally, and I called this. I said, yo, man, he was feeling himself. Interview came up after Monday night, and a lot of people that I know that are Seahawks fans, my boy Daso in particular, he's like, I don't give a if we lose every single game this year. I just want to beat Russell Wilson week 1. That's all I care about. I have a feeling the entire Seahawks organization felt the same.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And that energy was sick, and then that's it. Bubble popped. I don't see the Seahawks doing a fucking thing. I even see Drew Lock coming in at some point to pick up Geno Smith, and he's back to getting written off again.
Yeah, possibly. Journeyman.
Bengals Cowboys?
Yeah, I want to start off actually on the Bengals. So this is 2 weeks in a row that I've turned around and I bet them live for the comeback. Yeah, I bet them against the Steelers. I got them, I think, plus 7.5. A couple people I know, they're easy cleanups. And then they're also, I saw people getting them at plus 14, plus 15. This week against the Cowboys, I got them second half. Bengals plus 7 for the game, minus 7 second half. I mean, obviously it was close and it came down to one of the final drives and a couple fourth down conversions, but Bengals are looking like that Chiefs / Golden State team that's going to fall behind every single game and then come back and make it competitive. So whether they win, don't win, cover the spread, don't cover the spread, they'll cover that second half line because they're going to be falling back. And the one thing I do want to I can't tell if they're good, if they're not good. Obviously, the position players, they got their work in from Jamar Chase and Higgins and Boyd and Mixon. So they did their thing. There's not too much to say about the Cowboys, but the question about the Bengals is, are they good or they're not good? Because I think week 1, when they made the comeback on the Steelers, or tried to make the comeback on the Steelers have a legit defense and a top-tier defense. So for them to be able to move the ball and score under pressure in the second half in Heinz Field said a lot to me that even though their offense isn't working at this moment, it still has potential to work. So I think that's kind of a similar situation. The Cowboy defense is good. Obviously, they didn't have a quarterback, so it was a little bit easier to facilitate that comeback. But at the same time, I think they're just kind of having that hangover and look to continue betting them second half if they're going to keep falling behind.
I always say momentum is a hell of a drug, and they have no momentum right now. And until that pendulum switches, they're going to continue to struggle. They will be a phenomenal second half team. But at one point, you're going to start losing the chemistry. You're going to start seeing like those Ocho Cinco days where and the turmoil on the sidelines. I got to say, we haven't seen it yet. That bothers me for 2 reasons. I looked at every single wide receiver on the fucking bench against the Cowboys, and they all were like this.
Yeah.
They're not showing heart. They're not showing grit. They're not showing shit. And I just am like, when's this implosion occurring? Because this is the Bengals. Let's not forget they made the Super Bowl last year. Kudos to them. But this is the fucking Bengals. And the Bengals haven't been shit for a long fucking time. Even when the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton came in, they kept fucking up. So, sometimes you get that occasional year where a team comes out and makes a name for himself, and then, they go back to rebuilding one way or another. So I'm not writing the Bengals off yet. But something needs to change, and something needs to change fast, or
their O-line is not looking good.
Their O-line is garbage.
Yeah, Joe Burrow's getting sacked a lot, so they got to protect him a little bit. Moving on to kind of probably one of the more boring games of the week, Texans versus the Broncos. The Broncos were able to pull off the win, but not cover the spread. Texans, I don't know what to say. I don't think there's anyone really I would trust. I think O.J. Howard was somebody they were talking about. I've told you, don't get him. I think Rex Burkhead and Damian Pierce kind of will split. I don't think you could trust either of them. From the Broncos, we got the injury to Jerry Jeudy. So I think that kind of boosts up Courtland Sutton. Yeah, he's going to get some more targets. And then also, the running backs, I think Javonte Davis gets, he's the number one guy. He gets a lot of touches, but unfortunately Melvin Gordon is there. And he's going to be a thorn to that side. He's going to take a lot of touches. He will take some goal line work. Although I think Javonte is the clear 1A, Melvin Gordon is there to stay, and they're going to continue to keep getting him involved.
He ran hard yesterday, man. He showed don't forget who the fuck I am.
But can you start him?
No.
No? I mean, he's projected 10, 11 points a game. I mean, he's going to fall into the end zone here and there.
No, he's touchdown dependent as it gets. No way. Not on that offense. Until they start clicking, because look, man, the Broncos look fucking trash, though.
Yeah.
They just look absolute trash. I don't like anything they're doing. Even from the defensive side of things, they're not really impressing me on any side of the ball. And so the way I see it is, they're either going to start clicking, and it's going to be okay, this team is rolling at the right time, or they're just going to be that fucking inconsistent team that can drop the ball and drop a goose egg against teams like the fucking Seahawks, for fuck's sake, So, yeah, not starting Russell Wilson. Maybe Sutton is now, Courtland, I could feel comfortable starting him moving forward, especially like you said, without Jeudy. But, Broncos are very underwhelming, man. 16 points against the Texans.
I got in one of my fantasy leagues, I got Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers as my 2 quarterbacks to pick from. And I thought I did good getting some late value for my quarterbacks. I spent 2 8th and 10th round picks on these guys.
No weapons.
Week to week, I'll start one of them and they'll go off, and that was just pathetic. But yeah, the last 1 o'clock game. This was actually a fun one, and this was the lock of the week. I think for both of us.
It was.
It was the Cardinals and the Raiders. I got a couple things I want to say. So, lock of the week, and then also going for betting. I also fired Cardinals second half plus 20. It was a pick 'em. They're down 20 going to half, and I got them pick 'em second half. So, I went ahead and fired the 2-team parlay with the Cardinals plus 20 and the Bengals plus 7 for the game. Both of them covered hit both of them separate. I also had Cardinals plus 5.5 for the game, so they came in and backdoor covered. Not only covered, they won the game outright.
You said that on the thing. They might fuck around and win the game outright.
I didn't expect them to win the game, but they did win the game. I don't know what to feel about that offense. Like, they look a little lackluster. I heard some funny stats yesterday. The correlation of Warzone and Kyle Murray and how his production drops off, and then when the new Call of Duty comes off, and I've heard some talks that they were trying to put some stipulations about studying and stuff in his contract.
Really?
So, yeah, and if you saw this year, kind of the offseason, he didn't want to be there. They didn't really want him there. There was talks about trade. So we don't really know what's going on in that locker room. I thought it was a little chatter, and I thought it might have been fake and people just blowing it up.
I thought the same thing.
But I'm starting to believe that there actually might be something. So I'm not sold on the Cardinals being a bad team, and I'm also not sold on them being a good team.
I mean, this is what I see it as. Think about the Allen Iverson days. Practice. I'm supposed to make my team better on practice. That's kind of what Kyle Murray is to me. He single-handedly got him that dub. I mean, from his 84-yard scramble on his two-point conversion to his two-point conversion the second time around to what's his name, AJ Green.
Yeah.
Like a fucking
crazy
dart.
catch. Oh my god.
A fucking dart through traffic in the back of the end zone like that. I mean, Kyle Murray.
Did you see him throw Crosby off of him?
Yes, bro.
I don't know how you
Crosby,
do that. Like, yeah.
Dude, this is a monster. And he chucked him off like the greatest of ease. So
easy.
Call it what you want. Distracted, this, that, the other. Even Allen Iverson balled. And so, hey, look, winning changes a lot of things. James Conner went down, something to keep an eye out on.
Yes.
But obviously, their backup is more than capable.
So there's two backups. There's Eno Benjamin, and Darrell Williams from the Chiefs. Yep. So I kind of like Darrell Williams over just because his goal line possibility and potential. He does catch the ball as well too. So I am going to be thinking they're going to split a lot of time between the two. But yeah, I don't know if I could really trust either one of them. But they're definitely going to be on the waiver wires this week. And as far as the Raiders go, I mean, I think Waller did his thing. I think Devontae got in the end zone with not the same target share that he got the week before, but I think he's still a must start. I think this was supposed to be a big game for Josh Jacobs, and I'm not sure if he balled out the way that people projected him to.
He didn't. I'm not sure he did. He did not play as good as I thought he played. I mean, listen.
And that was game script too. That was the game for them.
That was the game script. But the entire second half, the entire offense was lackluster. Like, it was just like, fuck. And now they finally were getting Renfro involved.
And he turns the ball over.
And then he fumbles the ball not once, but twice. The first time they got it back.
Oh, yeah.
But twice. So I don't know what the fuck is going on with the Raiders, but as these Raider fans that are so thick and deep into this, man, before it happened, man, everyone's like, oh yeah, watch how we blow this one. Watch how we blow this. It's like they just knew it was going to happen. And sure enough, it fucking did. You got, obviously, you trust Devontae Adams. Waller, I mean, damn, dude, you drafted him high. You got to keep him, high enough for a tight end. You got to keep him. I think he's just not playing to where he was playing last year before his injury. Jacobs, again, like you said, it's like you can't even feel comfortable throwing these dudes out. Offensive coordinator struggling. I mean, I don't know what it is, man, but they got enough weapons to fucking make some moves, and they're just not.
Yeah.
They're just not.
I've never really been a big Raiders fan, especially out here in LA. Everyone's always a Raiders fan, and it's just like I've never been on that train really. So I don't know.
Never.
But last game, Bears and Packers. I don't even want to talk about these Bears. Like I said, I drafted Justin Fields and Cole Kmet, and I'm so glad that I traded for a quarterback, and now I'm streaming a new tight end. So I want nothing to do with that offense. The only guy I like is. Well, what's his name?
Montgomery at this point?
No, not Montgomery. Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Equinemius St. Brown. That's like he's just a baller. Yeah, I just like him because of the story right now. And actually, to bring up David Montgomery, he's running hard, but a lot of people are talking about Khalil Herbert as a handcuff to be
I mean,
owning.
I watched the whole Sunday game. He balled, bro. Like, honestly, he touched the ball and he balled. He had one carry where he got lots of yards and was blowing up. The offensive line got blown up. But on a serious note, game scripted out. He just got game scripted out. At the end of the day, my guy fucking ran hard. I mean, he had, you know, his first drive of the game, he had 3 carries for 39 yards or 4 carries for 39 yards. They marched down, they scored a touchdown, and then all of a sudden they like stopped giving him the ball for a couple of drives in a row, which the Packers ended up lighting up the scoreboard at that point. But I was shocked to see the Packers play so well. I think they did something that they should have done a long time ago with Dillon and Jones out there at the same time and put them in motion and just really using them beautifully. And I think the competition within that running back field now is like every time they touch the ball, they're running as hard as they've ever fucking ran.
Yeah,
so that's scary.
I think they feed off each other. I don't
They
see
do.
them
I don't see
thinking.
any hatred or
Yeah,
animosity.
they're not complaining for touches. I want to be out there. They're hyping each other up. Kind of reminds me of like Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, how they just one of the best for each other. They don't mind bringing the other guy in. As far as the receivers go, no one really trusts. No one really getting more than like 4 or 5 targets. Sammy Watkins did okay, but you can't start him. The 2 rookies from Green Bay have not yet showed me something. Christian Watson and Romeo Dubes.
Nope.
So
It's hard to trust.
Yeah, until they totally do anything, they show me something. I'm not really charged starting any of those receivers. Obviously, the running backs are going to be good, but
The Bears are bad.
the Bears are bad. Yeah,
It took a monsoon for them to get it done,
yeah.
like realistically speaking. So,
Yeah, but that was the games. All right, let's go forward really quickly.
oh, real quick, man. AJ finished off 9-5, calling the games last week. We'll end this session today calling the games. He's got a couple game lead on me. I think I was 6-8, so I got some serious work to do. But yeah, tune in later to this episode. We will have our new picks for this week too, including our Monday night doubleheader picks tonight. And I'm beating his ass this week, just letting y'all know.
We'll see, man. My picks have been good, and my bookie's not happy with me cleaning up. So we doing it, baby.
I love it. I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad.
All right, let's go over some waiver wires. This week, I think the number 1 waiver wire is Garrett Wilson. If you're looking for some wide receiver depth, he actually looks like a phenomenal player, and he looks like a top talent in the league. So if he continues to ball out, if they get some better quarterbacks in there, or they have some more competitive games, or if they keep falling behind and just have to chuck the ball, I look to get him some production.
I got to go with Tua.
Tua.
I think Tua is definitely, I almost picked him up week 1, week 2, but the Eagles, I got Hurts in both of my leagues. His bye week's week 7, and I think the Tua plays the Steelers week 7. And just because I'm a fucking fan, I was like, yeah, I don't want to stream him the week they're playing me. Then the other part of me was like, yo, but then at least if you lose and he balls out, you get some fantasy points. And I'm like, but then what if we knock him the fuck out and I don't get any fantasy points? Then it takes away from my win as a fan. And so I fucking never picked his ass up when he was on the waiver wires for so long. Now I feel like people genuinely fight over him. And can you blame him?
I think
6 touchdowns?
I think if you're looking to stream a quarterback, he's the guy. I wouldn't say he's a set it and forget it.
I agree with
if
that.
you got a top 5 quarterback, I wouldn't really look to pick him up. But if you're playing the quarterback matchup game week after week, I think he's somebody you would want on your bench. For example, where I got Rodgers and Wilson, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I could trust those guys. So at this point, if he has a better matchup, I'll look to get him. And then also another couple quarterbacks, Winston and Wentz, they're just slinging the ball all around the field, not really playing that well as far as football quarterbacking goes, but they're doing their job for fantasy quarterbacking, getting those points, getting those garbage points. So
I trust Wentz more than Winston.
I mean, but Winston could just
He's
throw
not
the
a
ball.
ball,
Yeah,
man.
he
Don't
just
get it
throws,
twisted.
and there's times where they're playing the Bucks, so they weren't in
But
that
he
game
can-
script, but.
Who throws 5 picks in one game when you might need it most? Winston over Wentz.
Yeah,
Wentz is
but-
don't get
but
it twisted.
Winston's
He can throw
throwing,
his
he'll-
2-3
but-
picks also.
Yeah, but he's going to throw 5 touchdowns too. So I like the fact that he at least takes his shots, and even if he does throw 5-pick games, those are the games he still puts
Still
up.
putting up 400 or 500 yards in
Yeah,
the
he's
process.
putting up a lot of fantasy points. He's not scared to turn the
respect
ball
that.
over, so I don't mind that. A couple running back stashes. Raheem Mostert, if he's available in your league, I would look to pick him up because the Dolphins are going to be good and they're going to score a lot of points. So if he's that running back there,
There's
if you get
nothing
him-
less than a handcuff, at least for your Chase Edmonds out there.
Yeah, and also Brian Robinson coming back from injury. He got shot in the leg, and like the same thing. You know, Antonio Gibson is he's doing good, but he was looking like he was going to lose his job before the year. So I think that storyline will kind of come into play.
Definitely early on him, but definitely a good stash on him. I agree with that.
Yeah, and also Darrell Williams and Benjamin from the Cardinals. Look at them.
You never know where Connor's going at this point.
Luckily they said the injury was not too serious to Connor, so
he tried to get it back out there. They just wouldn't let him.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a 4 to 6 weeks. If anything, I think it'll be like 2 to 4 weeks. So we'll probably get him back out there. And then the deep stash Tyrion Davis Prince from San Francisco, he looked good. So if you lost Elijah Mitchell and you weren't able to get Jeff Wilson, I would definitely look to pick him up and try to get something. And also some tight ends. Logan Thomas played well, got a touchdown. Hayden Hurst for Cincinnati's moving the ball a little bit with Joe Burrow.
Used to be a Raven, that's right.
Yeah,
man.
and then Evan Ingram for the Jaguars is looking good, but he actually is the most injury prone. So just know that anytime you start him, he could leave the game in the first quarter with the goose egg.
Did that with the Giants how many fucking times?
It's too many times. Too many times to trust him. So that's why I'm kind of like, meh. And same thing with Logan Thomas, but I feel like every time he gets hurt, he's already getting hurt, but like in the fourth quarter after he has like 4 catches and a touchdown. So it's not that just zero, ugly zero you gotta look at.
No, that's real. So wide receivers, I still like Sterling Shepard, man.
Oh yeah, then we got Sterling Shepard, and also Jacoby Myers from the Patriots. If you need some wide receiver, but I wouldn't really trust Jacoby Myers. I like Sterling Shepard because he has a high ceiling. Because when he balls off, he gets those 70, 80-yard touchdowns, Absolutely. And then he gets a bunch of targets. So in a PPR league, he could actually provide you great returns.
Absolutely. I like that as well. So we going to do our picks?
Let's do it.
I'll start off with this one, man. Steelers, Browns. Very simple, man. 5 points is a lot of points. I know we're in complete turmoil. It is in Cleveland. That is definitely something to keep in mind. But right now, we beat the Bengals on the road, division game. Browns just gave up their W to the Jets late. I think that's demoralizing. I'll take the 5 points uncomfortably, biased because I'm a fan. But I think this comes down to a field goal. You know, no matter how you chalk it up, I think this game comes down to a field goal. And I think our run defense has a lot of fucking work to do. If we can force Brissett to actually throw the ball, I think we'll create some turnovers in that realm.
Yeah, I think division game, Thursday night, short week. I like the Steelers to cover the spread. And even if, I don't want to say it because it's your team, but say they do fall behind for some reason, which I don't see happening, I do see the backdoor cover coming in play, but I do see this game being very competitive with Jacoby Brissett under center. I think their quarterback play is very similar right now, so I think both of them have good teams, good defenses, a long history, so I think it's going to be close, and I would have to take the Steelers +5 as well.
We're about to see if this guy Mitch can fucking play in primetime, because right now, when he was talking in the post game, apparently a lot of people are in the huddle trying to tell him specific plays to run, and everyone wants the ball, he's saying, and shit like that. He's saying that we got to buy in more. You don't expose that kind of shit. And if you know Tomlin will be the same guy that goes, I'll let y'all spectate. And he's not doing that right now. And if he loses that locker room, which he's fucking very close to, you already got Kenny being chatted in the fucking stadium, Pickett comes in. I don't think he comes in mid-game. But don't forget, when we had 2 backups back in the day when Ben went down, Mason came in, and Joshua Dobbs came in, and he kind of intertwined them a couple times. I wouldn't be surprised on some real shit if we're, them have a couple plays set up for Kenny, maybe in the second half if we're down. Not to put him in there as a starter, but like, hey, Coach always thinking, let's put him in a couple plays, let's get his run, and if he does something special, then they'll fuck around and roll with it. So don't be surprised if you see Kenny earlier than later, man. But I still like the 5 points, man. I still like the 5 points. I think Cleveland comes down to a field goal to win the game, if anything.
Yeah, I'm taking the 5 all day.
Wouldn't be surprised if a straight up Steelers cover, though. The way they played the Bengals, if we can do the same shit against the Browns, it's a done deal. Browns are overrated without Deshaun, obviously, and Brissett. And although they won week 1, they fucking lost to the Jets, man. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. All right, next game. This is 2 teams that haven't really scored too many points. We got the Texans and Bears in Chicago. Chicago favored 2.5 points. What do you like?
Texans and Bears. So
I think this
Denver's
is easy.
so garbage, and they only let 9 points occur. But then the Bears were so fucking garbage last night. Because they're at home, I'll go ahead and take the Bears minus 2.5. Only because who's the WR2 for Texans?
Not Brandon. Is it Cooks? No. For the Texans? I don't even know.
Couldn't tell you.
I couldn't even tell.
That's why I got the fucking Bears at home minus 2.5.
Honestly, I think this is easy. The Texans, I think, just look really bad. The Bears, they look bad, but let's look at how they played. They played in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers, tough division game, so you can't really fault them too much for not showing up. And then they pulled off the victory against the Niners, so I see them being just at least a little competitive. And even though they lost the game to the Packers, they put points on the board first, and they made it look like it was going to be a game.
Justin Fields looked into me, bro. And even the announcers are like, oh, I think he's in, but I can't say he. That goes a whole different game if that is a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's a whole different ball game. So, yes, I agree, bro. Bears definitely should cover that 2.5.
I think the line's actually going to move closer to 3.5, 4. If we're getting them 2.5, I'll put them as my lock of the week easily. Once it starts getting over 3.5, I'm not so confident as my lock of the week. But at under 3, I'm taking the Bears. So next game we got Raiders and Titans going to Tennessee. LV's favored -1, so close to a pick 'em on the road. What do you think?
This one's hard for me because I haven't seen the Titans play. And I think that, depending on how they play tonight, I'm curious. If they even are competitive, I got to take the Titans at home. I know this sounds crazy because that means the Raiders would have to go 0-3, and that's the only reason why I'm like, look, if the Titans play very bad today, I like the Raiders in this one because I can't see them going 0-3. That's it. They're all fucked off if they do. Matter of fact, fuck it, I'm rolling with that. I'm going off the strength of the Raiders can't go 0-3. It's only a point, so they basically pick them.
Yeah.
I got Raiders -1.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I think without being able to watch Titans play their second week against the Bills, like if they come out and they just ball against the Bills this week because of how good the Bills look, then I'll turn around. I would want to go Titans, especially if they win the game because like there's one of those Jekyll and Hyde teams where they just look really bad, but then some weeks they look amazing, and then they'll turn around. They'll beat the best team in the league. So
let's not forget. Derrick Henry is probably one of the nastiest primetime running backs of all time. So if they somehow beat the Bills and he puts up his 250 yards, I still can't even crown him at that point. They fuck around and come home and lose to the Raiders. So I got to go Raiders here.
Yeah,
Raiders,
I see him losing to the Bills today, so I'm probably going to lean Raiders -1 as well too because they do have some offense and the team doesn't look bad. So like I said, bearing anything crazy from them, but. Next game, we got Chiefs and Colts. Chiefs -6.5 against the Colts, who just put up 0. Does that even make sense? I think
I'm warning you right now. This is clearly a trap game. It's a trap because the Chiefs are the Chiefs and they won and 2-0, and it's a trap, bro. It's a fucking trap. I'm taking Chiefs -6.5, but this is just too low. It makes no sense that it's not at least a fucking 2-score game, like 8 or 8.5 even.
Yeah.
So I got Chiefs. On the road, -6.5, but I'm uncomfortable.
I'm never going to bet on the Colts after they split up a goose egg against the Jaguars. So I agree with you. I'm going to put it down on the Chiefs. I see this line moving to more over 7.5, even 8 by the time game time starts. So 6.5, easy, lock it in, Chiefs.
I agree.
Next week, we got a good matchup, actually. We got the Bills on the road visiting the Dolphins, and the Bills are a 4-point favorite on the road. What do you like?
Divisional home team +4 because I don't know what the Bills are going to do tonight. The Bills look like the team to beat. If they fucking struggle to beat the Titans, then getting 4 points at home is a fucking no-brainer. But as far as the Dolphins goes, but again, they ball out crazy and just look disgusting. It's going to be one of those uncomfortable scenarios. But until the Dolphins fucking lose, I'm taking points every single time.
Yeah.
Until they lose, I'm taking their points every time. Just like last week, that was our lock of the week. I'm going with them.
Yeah, going back, like I said, if the Titans play really well against the Bills and the Bills look bad, obviously we could revisit this. But I think coming off a short week, because the Bills are playing tonight and then going straight to Sunday, not getting that full week, 6 days of rest instead of 7. And the Dolphins playing as good as they are and looking like they want to be very disruptive, specifically in their own division. You got to give me them with their 4 points all day. That's easy.
They fuck around and win. I'm not that shocked.
Yeah, I can see them winning too. The next game, another divisional game, we got the Lions at the Vikings and Minnesota minus 6.5 points. Who are you taking?
Once again, the fucking Vikings play tonight, right? So definitely difficult to say. However, the Lions have been competitive. They have been competitive every game. I think they're going to get their asses beat, and they somehow just put together some shit. I think just that. I think that they keep it fairly close. I wish it was 7.5. I don't like that it's 6.5. But yeah, I'm taking a 6.5 points divisional game. I'll take that.
So shout out Nathan. What's up, man? And yeah, man, I feel like we're picking all the same games. Like, I want to kind of go against you for the sake of going against you, but I can't do it on this game because the Lions do look good and they're competitive every game. So even if the Vikings, do well, they're coming off a short week, and I do see the backdoor cover coming in play 6.5 way too much for a divisional game. And the Lions looking like the Cinderella story.
Real shit.
So next we got Ravens, Patriots, Baltimore, 3-point favorites in New England. What do you say?
I just watched the Patriots play, and they fucking suck, man. Ravens lost the game. They're fucking, that hurts. The pain that they're experiencing from losing to Miami gives them the advantage against Belichick and company. Their D is so bad that maybe that makes Mac Jones look like he's an actual quarterback out there in pro football and not like high school. Because the guy just looks like a high school QB to me. But I never thought I'd say this, but yeah, Ravens -3, man.
Okay, all right, finally. I'm going to actually go on the opposite. I'm going to take the Patriots. I know the Patriots aren't the Patriots of the past, but I'm still a huge Belichick fan. And just watching the Ravens, a lot of the points they got last game were just big plays down the field. And I think Belichick is going to work on making sure they don't get those big plays, whether it's Lamar breaking off a big run or one of the receivers. Yeah, one of the receivers just streaking down the field, 80-yard touchdown. So I think when you take away all those really easy scores, the game will be a little bit more competitive. So I'll take 3 points at home.
Okay. What we got? Bengals and
Bengals, Jets.
Bengals, Jets.
Yeah.
I thought this was the get-right week for the Bengals. I really did. And it wasn't. And they lost to a backup QB in the Cowboys, which we can't undermine that, mind you. That was good coaching. They have great defense. Cowboys have actually really good defense this year. I don't see Flacco putting up another 4 points, 4 touchdowns. But that's a lot of fucking points. Bengals got to get right, though, man. I hate to say this, but Bengals, man.
Yeah, this to me is easy as Bengals. I'll actually probably fire on this in real life only because Bengals have been playing starting off so bad week after week that this is the week that they're going to have to come out and show it. And not only that, I think people are kind of high on the Jets because of the fact that they just pulled off that win. So I think if they just would have lost to the Ravens and just kind of got beat down by a couple scores, people wouldn't really be thinking so highly of the Jets. But because of how they've played these last couple weeks and it's been pretty competitive, I think.
I mean, Flacco's used to playing at the Bengals, man.
Yeah, I'm still going Bengals. What's up, TM? Shout out to the chat out real quick. Just want to say what's up to everybody. But yeah, so all right, that's I like that.
Lottie Toddy.
Now we got another divisional game.
Eagles, Commanders. Woo.
Here, I'll go first. I'll go ahead. I'm taking Commanders +4 at home. I don't really like them, but I just think with these divisional games, 4 points is just way too much. Eagles are good. They look good. They look like they could, on paper, they should destroy the Commanders and they should just blow them out completely. But the Commanders showing that they'll go ahead and backdoor cover and get some garbage time points. So, and the Eagles are kind of like one of those teams that will give up that garbage time points. So,
yeah, I mean, we saw them against Detroit. They gave up 35 points to Detroit, and they were up by 2 touchdowns throughout the game. Like, they were up 2 scores, and then Detroit would score a touchdown, and that was 1 score. They were up 2 scores, and I think the game finished 38-35. We haven't seen them play tonight. which they tip off here fairly soon. I'm going with the Eagles. I think that until I see them tonight and they fail, I think that they can cover 4. I'm not too high on the Commanders, man. I'm just not. I'm not too high on them.
Okay.
Wentz will do Wentz things.
And then on the last 10 a.m. game, we got my favorite player, Baker Mayfield, at home against the Saints. Saints are actually 3-point favorites on the road. You want to go first, or who do you like?
I'm taking Saints.
Yeah, I'm taking Saints. There's no way I'm going to pick Baker, but I'm going to call it out this week because it didn't happen last week. This is a game that the Panthers are going to go ahead and just win outright. I'm not going to bet on it, but watch. They're going to go ahead and not only cover the spread, but they'll win. But I'm still taking the Saints because I can't stand Baker that much.
I mean, I think that Alvin will be back this week. I just think the Saints have so many weapons that I can't see them. I can't see them losing the game. And since it's 3 points, and most games are finishing a field goal to win, go to OT, some shit like that, I can see it. But Baker Mayfield fucking sucks, and that organization is in trouble. So, Saints.
All right, so we got the 1 o'clock games. We have the Jags, who just look really impressive, going to San Diego. And San Diego 7-point favorites.
I mean, look, the Jags might have looked impressive against the Colts, but the Jags looked fucking dog meat in week 1. The Chargers, on the other hand, you got Herbert, who is kind of banged up, and they're at home. So East Coast traveling to West Coast. 1 o'clock game. Chargers are used to playing that 1 o'clock game. I'll give it the 7. Not really comfortable about that, but I'll give it the 7.
I think with the fact that Herbert being hurt, I'm going with the Jags +7, just because they're looking to make this game competitive. They're both young, hungry teams, so I see that game being a one-score game. And the theme of this year, I think, is a lot of backdoor covering. A lot of teams where the games are not really close, but they're coming in for that back door. So 7 points, just way too much.
This just might be that setup. NFL does that to us. They start doing every game's a comeback. You start going second half, whoever's losing by double digits, and you think and then it just stops. I'm curious to see if this week we have as many comebacks as last week, because it has been pretty fucking nuts, man.
Yeah.
This weekend was nuts.
And then we got another divisional game. We got the Rams and the Cardinals. A good matchup. Rams are 4-point favorites on the road. That's going to be a tough game, but I think I know who I like. I'm going to take the Cardinals.
I was about to say
they kind of look a little wishy-washy, and they didn't do their thing the first week. But again, I think 4 points is too much, and being a divisional game at home, I think the Cardinals actually they're either going to get mollywopped or they're going to cover the spread. One of the two.
So the Cardinals came off of just one impressive comeback. The Rams almost let the Falcons of all teams come back. I'm a fan of the Rams. I think they're a solid squad, and I think that the Super Bowl hangover, they can kind of finally get that shit out of everyone's head because they beat the Falcons, but they still kind of struggled against the Falcons. So I'm on Team AJ with that, man. Sick as fool. I gotta agree with that, man. I like the Cardinals in this one as well.
All right.
Just because it's 4. If it was 3 or less, I'd pick the Rams. I
Yeah.
think they still win the game.
I see the Rams winning the game, but I see.
But that's a lot.
Yeah. This next game is actually probably one of the more boring games of the slate, but I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be my lock of the week if we could get it at what we have it right now. We have the Falcons going to Seattle. Seattle 2-point home favorites. I don't know. I think this is easy. I think I'll lock this one up. I'm taking the Falcons, man. They've been competitive in every game, no matter who they're playing, against the Saints, against the Rams, always in it. The Seahawks, obviously, they played well against the Broncos, but did not play too well against the 49ers. Give me the Falcons with some points on the road. Easy.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. That's definitely the lock of the week.
Yeah, let's see if they can hold it down.
I think they win the game outright, let alone.
I think so too. This is going to be one of the games they're going to win. And then we have.
It is a dome in Seattle. Weather gets a little crazy. I can maybe see that being a little uncomfortable for them. But yeah, man, I'm with you on that, man. Falcons +2.
I think Falcons should be favored, to be honest. So that's why I think it's just an easy pick from that. Next game, we got some GOAT quarterbacks. We have the Packers going to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay 2.5-point favorites. How do you see this game play out?
First things first, they have no Mike Evans. He's for sure suspended. I don't know if Godwin's coming back, and I don't know if Julio Jones is even coming back. So You know, Buccaneers defense looked solid. They look really fucking good, and I think that can cause the Packers some trouble. If they don't get any receivers back, though, there's no way I can comfortably take them. So I got a footnote on this one, bro. I got Tampa Bay. I'll give the 2.5 points. However, if they don't have Julio Jones and Godwin, both of those players are out, then I'm taking the Packers.
Okay. I think this is actually a game where if I had a bet, I'm probably going to lean towards the under. The Packers offense does not look too good. The Bucks defense has looked really good. Same thing. Bucks offense is kind of not all there, and the Packers defense has been able to play a little bit. You know, they've been pretty competitive. So I would pick under if I had to pick, but I think I'm going to lean towards. This is tough. Give me Tampa Bay at home -2.5. You know, hopefully they just win by a field goal. So
yeah, I'm right there with you.
And then the last 1 o'clock game, we got the 49ers traveling to Denver for the Broncos. San Francisco a -1 on the road, so close to pick 'em. What do you think?
You know, I Denver fucking hurt me. They cost me my pool the first week of the season, bro. And I don't know if it's just like bothering me so much. Just let's ride, whatever. I can't fucking take the Broncos, bro. In all honesty, Garoppolo coming in knows the offense clearly. Took him to the playoffs, NFC Championship game last year. As much as he lacks something clearly for that organization, I think that this gives them a better chance to win now. Trey Lance may be the future, but this gives them a better chance to win now. I think they fucking beat the Broncos. Yeah. I think they beat the Broncos.
I take Niners too. Actually, I'm not sold on the Broncos. I came into the year thinking the Broncos were going to have a good year. Russell was going to be able to put it all together. That defense was going to be good, but I'm actually not sold on the Broncos at all. And I see the 49ers as a more complete team right now. Shout out to the chat. I guess Parker Cooper wants to watch me eat a banana. I don't know what that means, but
Parker Cooper. Every game, it's been 2 games. You sick as fool. I want to see sick as fool eat one.
Every game in 2 games counts as every game, Parker. You know, does that count or no? If it's every game for 2 games.
I mean, shit, bro. He's got a point, man. It's hard to really crown some people right now, considering it's 2 games. But I'm hoping Parker's a girl name, man, because they want to see you eat a banana, my guy.
I don't know.
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football. We got
Cowboys and Giants.
Divisional game. I'm going to go with the hot hand on this one. Giants are favored 2.5 points. I like them with no quarterback in Dallas. So, ooh, Dream wants another banana too. But, what's up with you?
They see the bananas. Oh, it's this way in the background. They see my little fruit tray over here. Cowboys, Giants. So you like Giants at home, -2.5. You think they win in the game outright?
I think the biggest catalyst of this game is just Brandon Rush doesn't really sell me as a good quarterback. So
what you think about the Giants defense though?
How did they do these last couple of weeks? Who did they play yesterday?
Giants.
They played 16 points by the Panthers. That's the Panthers, man. It's Baker, man.
Like, the Cowboys have really good fucking defense. Like, probably the most underrated defense right now in the NFL is the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically speaking, bro, they're putting pressure on the quarterbacks. You know, look, the Bengals, it's like, their offensive line fucking sucks. Well, they played the Steelers with Watt and company, and then they just played the fucking Cowboys. And maybe these teams are making their offensive line look that fucking bad. And maybe that's why you got this dude that's in the backfield not knowing where to go right away, and he's fucked up from it. Cowboys can get in that ass when it comes to the Giants. That they stopped Saquon Barkley. They put some pressure on him. Look, man, I have yet to get accustomed to ever picking the Giants. It's just been way too many years of my life to give points. I've never given points and picked the Giants in my life, bro. So, as crazy as it sounds, I'm going with Cooper Rush and company and the Cowboys plus the 2.5 points as my fucking upset of the week.
Okay. I mean, the good thing is that when we do next week's show, this game hasn't going to air yet, so we won't be able to tell you that
shit.
the Giants just got mollywopped. But
So you're gonna see me next week talking about the upset of this.
Yeah, we're gonna come back. We'll have some good updates for you next week. But
speaking of Monday Night Football, man, we didn't go over our Monday night picks tonight.
Okay, who you like?
So what's the first game? I know we got a doubleheader.
First, we got. I think I don't know if it's in Buffalo or if it's in Tennessee, but it's a 10-point favorite. Bills. I'm gonna guess. Let's see. I'm gonna guess that it's in Buffalo.
I think it is for some reason, but
yeah, that's where they started. It's in Buffalo.
Yeah, in Buffalo and Tennessee. What's the spread on this one?
10.
10 points favored. Buffalo. Yeah, I mean, I think Derrick Henry plays fucking exceptional on primetime games. I'll take 10 points. I know it sounds crazy, but I'll take the 10 points. I think they might keep it close for NFL entertainment purposes.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Bills. I think that it's going to not be competitive, and I think for viewing purposes, this game is going to not be competitive. It's going to be boring, and then everyone's going to yeah, and I think that the Vikings-Eagles are going to be a really, really good game, actually. So I think it's going to be a little lopsided, and then we're going to have the good game to end off the Monday night. And the Monday night, we have Vikings in Philly -3. Who do you like?
This one's pretty crazy to me, man. I don't know if I'm just a big diehard fan for the Eagles right now in the secondary because of my fantasy squad, but the Eagles just looked really sharp. I know it's the Lions, but they just spread the ball so well. And I think that, you got Justin Jefferson versus A.J. Brown. You got Jalen Hurts versus Kirk Cousins. I think that the matchups, when you look at them on paper, I got the Eagles. I'll take the Eagles.
I think if this was just a regular game, I would easily go Minnesota and maybe even lock it up. But given the fact how bad Kirk Cousins performs on Monday Night Football,
Andy Dalton,
I'm going to have to go with Eagles -3. Because 3 is easy. Let's just win by a field goal and push,
Right.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think it's going to be a good game. I could see some overtime or some long plays from Justin Jefferson or Jalen Hurts. But
so I got Diggs going tonight, man. He already caught a reception, so I'm fucking happy about that, man.
oh, man, I lost one. Josh Allen puts up under 18 points, that could win. Probably a big fat L for me. I already know.
Well, listen, man. We appreciate all y'all for coming out, man. We're gonna get going on these Monday night doubleheaders tonight, man. We appreciate all the love in the chat. Next time, please, man, maybe you can find some different objects for this man to eat because eating a banana just looks sus. And I know, it's a football show. We have fun out here. Onside kicking it as always. Let us know if you guys have any questions, though. Hit us up on social media. You can find us on all platforms. Onside kicking it. There's Twitter. We got Instagram. And we also got a TikTok, man. If you have TikTok, you can go up there and show us some love. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to
hit the like button. Hit that heart. Hit the like. Hit the subscribe, please. I had so much fun with you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Until next week.
Yeah, this was fun, man.
Monday, 3 o'clock Pacific Standard. Tune in live. We'll see y'all soon, man.
Peace.